Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you've not been here before, I'm Lenny and I have 6 Dachshunds, 5 long hair and 1 smooth. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why my 6 Dachshunds have never growled at me, and what I would do if they did growl at me. The reason I thought about doing this video is that I was having a telephone conversation yesterday with a friend of mine and it came up in conversation and I thought, do you know what, that's a really good topic for a video. I've seen a lot of people in the Dachshund groups on Facebook, because there are various support groups on Facebook for Dachshund owners. I've seen a lot of people in those groups talking about, oh, my Dachshund's growled at me, what do I do? My Dachshund started growling at me, it's getting worse, things like that. And I've always thought, well, my 6 have never growled at me. So I started thinking about things that potentially I did throughout their life or their younger life that means that they now don't growl at me. Oh, move the camera. So let's start off with talking about the reasons why your Dachshund might growl at you. So things could include resource guarding, so they might have something or be near something that they particularly like and they don't want you taking from them. A second reason could be that you're trying to move them from a position or a place that they don't want to move from. And the overall reason is you're asking them or going to make them do something that they don't want to do. So then they growl at you to try and give you a warning that they're not happy with what you are doing. So there's various old videos on YouTube and old dog trainers that will talk about dominance theory and things like that, and how if they growl at you, they just don't have any respect for you and thereby you need to take control and be the dominant figure, or whatever it is that they usually say. I just ignore them, so I'm not sure exactly what they say. But I don't agree with any of that. I think that you have to give respect to gain respect. Yes, I agree with being firm and fair. But I just don't agree with the whole, if they growl at you, then do various things that are dominant back to them. So growl back at them. I've heard people say that they bite their own dogs. I mean, I don't even want to go into it. So you might be watching this video and you might have been growled at by your Dachshund. You might have just got a Dachshund and be thinking, oh, how do I stop them from getting into that position? Or you could have a Dachshund that you've maybe considering rehoming because they growl at you and things like that. What I'm going to be talking about in this video potentially isn't really going to be advice to people who already have severe issues with aggression or growling. Dogs. If your dog is growling at you in an aggressive way and has been doing so for a long time, then please do, of course, go and speak to a behaviourist, a professional. I'm just going to talk about the things that potentially I feel I might have done that has in turn meant that I've never been growled at. I mean, I could be miles off, but these things, I assume, maybe have contributed to why my dogs never growl at me. Guys, can you stop moving the camera? So I want to start off by talking about when they were puppies. So things that I did when they were puppies. So, a couple of things. If they got something that they weren't meant to have, I never just snatched it off of them. I always exchanged it for something. So when dogs are puppies, they tend to pick up things they're not meant to have. They often start chewing things they're not meant to chew. So what I would do in that position is I would swap it for something else. So I never run after a dog and snatch things off of them. I always just sort of swap it for something else. And this is something that's just come naturally to me. So if I feel they've got a sock they shouldn't have or a shoe they shouldn't have, I just swap it for a toy that they should have, or a high reward treat that they should have. And that's always come very natural to me. You can tell when a dog is getting to the levels before a growl. So showing the whites of their eyes, looking uncomfortable, going rigid. So I never even let them get to the point where they're going to growl at me. So if I see that they're becoming rigid because they really want the thing that's in their mouth, I always just swap it for something else. If they've got something that they can have, so a treat or something like that, I don't just take things off them. There's no point. So some people believe in this, taking treats off of them to teach them that they should respect that you take things from them. I think that's absolutely nuts. So I would never take a treat off of them that's their treat. If I've given it to them, they can have it. So if my dog has got a high reward treat that I have given them, I just let them have it and finish it. I don't tend to pick up my dogs to move them that often. I will try and teach them from an early age things like get down, off, leave it, all of these sort of commands that are very basic commands. So I don't have to manhandle them too much, because you will be in situations where your dog might get to something. So maybe they've got into the treat cupboard or something like that, and they might then guard it because they think, oh, this is great, I've never been allowed here before. I try to teach them those commands early on so that I don't have to get too active with them. Because really what I guess I'm saying is I don't want me and my hands to become something that they associate with taking things, moving them, making them do stuff that they don't want to do. I want to gain their respect and have strong commands that they listen to. So if they get up onto the sofa and I need them to get down from the sofa, I will just say, get down. And they know to get down. And then I say, well done, or praise them for doing what I ask. When they're a puppy, I might reward those things. So I'll do various commands throughout the day and train them into what those commands are. And again, this is something that's just come very natural to me. I've always learned that you teach the basic commands very early on so that you can use them in those situations. So leave it is a fantastic command for various things, but more so if they get something they shouldn't have. Because I've heard so many times of a dog or a Dachshund getting something that they shouldn't have, so for example a baby sock or something like that. And when the owner then tries to get it off of them, they swallow it whole because they panic, because they're, oh, I want it, so they panic and they swallow it. So instead, I never have to run after my dog or approach them. I can ask them to drop it or leave it, and they will do so, and then I can go and get it. And then I'll always, even when they're 6 months old, 9 months old, 12 months old, I'll always reward the fact that they gave me that and try and keep the reward really high so that they feel like they're getting something much better for doing the command that I've asked of them. So just to recap, I guess what I'm saying is I believe that the reason my dogs don't growl at me now is because I teach them commands so I don't have to manhandle them in those situations. I don't take things from them that I have given to them. I don't see the point in doing it. And I'm just going to add one last point. I do feed them by hand often, so randomly I will feed all of the dogs by hand so that they connect my hands with yummy things. So not just treats, sometimes I will feed them their dinner by hand. We'll all sit down and I will feed them their dinner, as I say, by hand. So that's a little extra one there. You don't have to do that. Some people might be uncomfortable with doing that, you know, holding the food and all that, but that's something that I do. So now I just want to talk about what to do if they did growl at me. So what would I do if my dogs growled at me? One thing is I would stop doing what I'm doing. So if my dogs were sat on the sofa and I wanted them to get off for any reason, maybe there's a visitor around and I want them to be able to sit there, if I went over to them and they growled at me, I would move away and try and find another way to get them off the sofa. And usually that's through trying to get them away to something better. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to move over. The dogs are running around and moving my camera, by the way. So they're sat on the sofa, I want them to do something. If they growled at me, I quite literally would just try and go to the fridge and get some cheese or some chicken or something to get them off that way. I'm not going to manhandle them if they growl at me. I don't want to put myself in that situation. I don't want to put the people around me in that situation. And I don't want to put the dog in that situation. Because if they're comfortable and they're sitting there because maybe they've had a really long day, they're a bit achy and they think, well, why are you moving me? I don't want them to associate me with that negative, I'm constantly moving them around and making them do things that they don't want to do. So in that situation, I would stop what I'm doing if they were growling at me and find another way to approach it where I don't have to potentially let them go from growling to biting. I'm going to just move you. There you go. So let's say they growl at me because I'm trying to take something from them or something from nearby. Again, I will try and find something that is higher than what they are presently guarding or they've got and swap it over. So the more you do this as they grow up, the more they learn that you are a positive and they respect you and you respect them back. So as they get older, I wouldn't have to go and get the treat first. I can just say to them, drop it please. They will drop it and then I'll go and get them something. And sometimes you don't have something on you, so you can't do that. But if they've learned it enough and you've really kept at it at a young age, or if you've just rehomed them and kept at it then they will listen. So nowadays, now that they're more mature, they've learned what happens when I ask them to drop it, leave it, etc., they will just do that. And yeah, if I don't have a treat on me, I feel quite bad that I've not done our exchange, which we always do. But I know that in this really sticky situation, so if we were out for a walk, I had nothing else on me, I can get them to leave that alone. And the same in the house. I can ask them to drop it and I will go and always swap it for something else. I just think it's fair. They don't know that they've got something potentially dangerous to them or something of value to you. So there's no point getting all angry about it and frustrated about it. It's far better that you either have really strong commands that you have taught them at an early age, or that you have really high rewards on you that you go and grab quickly and swap things over. So we can talk a little bit about those commands just to end off this video. I won't go into too much detail on the individual commands. If you go to a puppy class or something like that, they will teach you the basic commands. But the commands that I like to use are things like leave it, drop it, and off or get off. And those commands come in really handy. You can also have the commands like get out, so if they're in a room or something you're wanting to get them out of. So the ways that I teach them early on is that I will give them a toy, something that's not too high reward because I don't want them to growl at me, so something that's not too high reward but they still enjoy. Give them the toy, play with them a little bit, and then ask them to drop it, and then they drop it and I give them the treat. Additionally, if I need them to get off of something, then I will teach them off by coaxing them off of things and rewarding them whilst saying off, and then over time they will learn to move away or off of things themselves. Stop moving my camera, crikey. And the final one, leave it. So what I'll do, again, get something that isn't too high reward because I don't want to set them up to fail. So I'll get them a toy or a treat or something, put it in front of them, ask them to leave it, and then reward them for leaving it. You can either give them the thing that you've asked them to leave or reward them with something else, it doesn't really matter. But the important thing with the training is to not make the thing that they've got too high reward because then they'll just want to get it straight away. So it's good to start with something that's not too high reward and build it up over time. So that's how you teach those ones. If you want me to go more in depth on the individual commands, then please do let me know. So hopefully this video wasn't too rambly. I am going to finish this video off now, and if you've got any questions, please do comment them below. Don't forget we are doing a giveaway and we are choosing the winner on the 14th of this month, which is October 2020. So please go and watch my previous video, which I will link somewhere here now, to find out how to enter that one. Thank you very much for watching. As I always say, it is Dachshund, not Dachshund, not Dachshund, Dachshund. Cheers guys!